V by Nikolai Gogol. Horror novella. Part 8. The whole floor was covered with red cotton cloth. In the corner, under the icons on a high table, lay the body of the dead girl, on a cover of blue velvet adorned with gold fringe and tassels. Tall wax candles, twined with guelder-rose, stood at her head and feet, shedding their dim light, lost in the brightness of day. The face of the dead girl was screened from him by the disconsolate father, who sat before her, his back to the door. The philosopher was struck by the words he heard. "I'm not sorry, my darling daughter, that you, to my sorrow and grief, have left the earth in the flower of your youth, without living out your allotted term. I'm sorry, my little dove, that I do not know who it was, what wicked enemy of mine that caused your death. And if I knew, I swear to God he would never see his children again, if he happened to be as old as I am, or his father and mother, if he was still a young man. And his body would be thrown to the birds and beasts of the steppe. But woe is me, my wild marigold, my little quail, my bright star, that I must live out the rest of my life with no delight, wiping the tears with my coat-tails as they flow from my aged eyes, while my enemy rejoices and laughs secretly at the feeble old man." He stopped, and the reason for it was the rending grief that resolved itself in a whole flood of tears. The philosopher was moved by such inconsolable sorrow. He coughed, wishing thereby to clear his voice a little. The chief turned and pointed to the place at the dead girl's head, before a small lectern on which some books lay. "I can do the 3 nights' work somehow," thought the philosopher, "and the master will fill both my pockets with gold coins for it." He approached and, clearing his throat once more, began to read, paying no attention to anything around him, and not daring to look into the dead girl's face. A deep silence settled in. He noticed that the chief had left. Slowly he turned his head to look at the dead girl, and a shudder ran through his veins. Before him lay a beauty such as there had never been on earth. It seemed that facial features had never before been assembled into such sharp yet harmonious beauty. She lay as if alive. Her brow, beautiful, tender, like snow, like silver, seemed thoughtful. Her eyebrows, night amid a sunny day, thin, regular, rose proudly over her closed eyes, and her eyelashes, falling pointy on her cheeks, burned with the heat of hidden desires. Her mouth, rubies about to smile. Yet in them, in these same features, he saw something terribly piercing. He felt his soul begin to ache somehow painfully, as if, in the whirl of merriment and giddiness of a crowd, someone suddenly struck up a song about oppressed people. The rubies of her mouth seemed to make the blood scald his heart. Suddenly, something terribly familiar showed in her face. "The witch!" he cried out, in a voice not his own, looked away, turned pale, and began to read his prayers. It was the very witch he had killed. When the sun began to set, the dead girl was taken to the church. The philosopher supported the black-draped coffin with one shoulder, and on that shoulder he felt something cold as ice. the chief himself walked in front, bearing the right side of the dead girl's cramped house. The story continues in Part 9.